Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We are at 15918 Southwest Bristlecone Way here in Tigard. Located underneath the front doorway and patio. We've got a 3-inch ABS cleanout, sticks way out of the ground. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. We're going to zero out here at the base of the cleanout. Off we go. Transitioning here to 4-inch 3034 PVC. Line looks great so far. Hitting the main here at 47 feet. We're going to go locate that really quick here while the pipe drains out and take another look as we come back in. Thus far, it looks like a great, immaculately clean sewer line. All right, I located the camera head successfully. Line terminates out on Southwest Bristlecone, and where I picked that locate up in the road, turn around and stare back at the house, I am looking pretty much straight back at the clean out. Can't remember off the top of my head. This line does a little bit of a zig and a zag, but overall it runs pretty much straight out. And the people living here are doing a pretty darn good job. This line is very clean. There is almost no grease buildup in it to speak of. And that is I'm a big stickler on grease. It's become something I've become a lot more worried about after the amount of scopes I've done than a lot of structural issues, honestly. Bellies, offset joints, all the PVC looks great. Drains beautifully, transition joints tight. What I've found is a lot of these, bellies and things of that nature, not that they can't lead to problems, but after the 25,000 scopes almost I've done, the drain cleaning I've done, what I've found is it's often a conjunction of a belly, some thick grease buildup, combined with someone finishing the job by flushing 10 balls of toilet paper down the line. It's often coupled with grease buildup when you get those scenarios. It acts like glue and causes debris to stick that otherwise wouldn't. So yeah, the line does a little bit of a zig and a zag. It's fairly subtle though. And that little bit of tan brownish stuff you see, like what's on my camera lens right now, is a little bit of grease buildup, but very, very meaningless amounts of it. It's not the kind where it would make sense to clean it. I mostly pointed out for educational purposes so you can kind of see what it looks like when you put cooking oil and stuff down the line. If you do a lot of fat frying, especially, it's a good idea to have some practices in place. What I usually tell folks is kind of a general rule of thumb. We swapped a PVC right here on the vertical drop right as the line dives down to leave the house here. We're back inside the crawl space at this point. But kind of as a rule of thumb, if you've got enough oil and grease or fats, especially when the pan's hot or warm, if you were to turn that pan sideways, if there's enough on there that it runs off the pan or flows off the pan, it's at that point you want to let it cool down, and or pour it into a jar when it's hot, or let it cool down, scrape it off into a garbage can, wipe it out with a paper towel. A thin little coating of PAM spray is really not a huge deal. Hot water and soap handles that fine. One of the keys to making sure when some amount gets down your line, to getting it to bust free from the sewer line, is always use hot water, as hot as it can be in your house. I don't mean make your hot water heater turn 200 degrees, but run it hot. And use soap, but let that hot water run for about full 30 seconds to a minute after your last dish was washed off. That helps to ensure that anything that did get down the line stays melted and emulsified until it gets out of the main lateral, or at least a good distance from the house. When you just washed a bunch of dishes off and you shut the water off instantly, that hot water will remain pretty warm through the crawl space area. Once it hits the outside where the pipe's buried underground and cold all the time, it starts to rapidly cool down. And it's very easy to tell the houses that wash with hot water and do that, because you'll have no grease on the inside, and wham, the second the pipe gets to the exterior, you have all your grease built up on the outside of the house. So it's a good trick you can do to help mitigate some of it from building up. And if you're watching what you're doing and most of the grease isn't getting down there, using that little trick there will help keep the line spiffy clean. It's especially a good habit when you have kids in your house that are still learning how to fold toilet paper, and adults. I shouldn't say just kids, adults do it too. Balled up toilet paper is the #1 cause of blockages. Grease buildup makes it much more likely that your run-of-the-mill toilet paper blockage, it would break loose naturally on its own, won't. And or it causes stuff that it blocks more stubbornly, and it's less likely to just break loose. So get a sewer event resulting from something that otherwise should disintegrate and move on its way. Anyhow, great looking line here. Minimal grease buildup, great flow end to end, no standing water issues, bellies, offset joints, or roots, anything of the sort. Line is functioning properly at this time.